Hey Tara, it's still showing that you're connecting to audio, but I'm not sure if you're able to hear me. Hi, James.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Hello, Vincent.
You doing okay, Tara? You may still be on mute.
Oh, I'm okay.
You're good.
Thanks.
Of course, I'm just gonna let everybody shows up just 5 minutes beforehand, so I'm just gonna finish setting up. Got another. All right, it is 1 o'clock. If James, if you want to just like start, a couple people are going to trickle in,
Sure.
and I'll just let them in.
Okay, no problem. Let me just share my screen here.
Of course.
Ron Waddell, he's in here. He's from our office as well. He kind of helps me out. He monitors that chat, but since we have such a limited number, if anyone has any questions as I'm going through this, just feel free to just unmute yourself, ask. I don't think there's that many people will be talking over ourselves too much here. But so thanks for having us. We enjoy doing these training sessions. If there's a specific topic or something that you want me to cover more in depth, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to go over as much as that we can. But like I said, we have Ron Waddell, myself. I'm James Bailey. I'm the IT director here at the Property Appraiser's Office. We're going to be going through a quick tour of our new website. This usually lasts about, we can go a couple hours with this, but we try to keep it around an hour because people tend to lose interest a little bit after that time frame. So hour and a half, that's how long we'll be here. We'll be doing the entire site, the searches, the property record card. We'll be going through the maps as well. Those are always really popular. Now, I just want to preface, I'm not the maps guy. I'm pretty familiar with the maps. I know how to use it pretty well. But if there's a really advanced or in-depth question, I will have to refer you to someone else, and we'll get you an answer. But I just might not be able to answer to you for today. But we always like to let people know that we changed this website, and there's a few reasons why. One of them, I don't know if you read those lawsuits in the papers a few years ago about the ADA challenges and lawsuits against the county. So our old website was not ADA compliant, and the vendor who provided that search and site for us, it was not on their radar to make it compliant at all in any way, shape, or form. Also, it was a vendor-driven solution, so anytime we wanted to make a change, had to go through the vendor. And it's if they could do it, they could. If they couldn't, then it wasn't going to happen. Or if they could, they might say, okay, that'll be $10,000. We're very cognizant of the fact that it's all taxpayer dollars here because pretty much all of the staff here are taxpayers as well. So we really, don't like spending taxpayer money unless we have to. So this new site, it's all done in-house by in-house staff. Didn't cost taxpayers anything for us to do it this way. And, people have a request, and we're really responsive about getting these requests done and changed and made. So, like I said, it's better for not only our office, but for the taxpayers as well, because we can manage everything how we would like to manage it. So unless I have any questions before we begin, I'm just going to dive right into the tour. All right. So this is our homepage. And if you can't see my screen, let me know now, or else I'm just going to keep on talking. So I'm going to pretty much start from top to bottom, left to right. Moving to the top left, you'll see these little social media cluster. We do have a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and career opportunities pages. So if you want to be kept up to speed what's going on with our office on a pretty much daily basis, follow us there. That's updated all the time. Our YouTube page has training videos and things of that nature for our website and other things that are going on in our office. LinkedIn, we'll post our career opportunities there as well in this NeoGov website. So we are hiring an exemption specialist. That's kind of the front of the line. So they answer the exemption questions. They take the phone calls from the public. So if you know anyone who's interested or would be a good fit, let them know. And that is on our website. You're not going to find that on the county's website. It's only on our website. All right, and that was our little social cluster. Top of the middle of the screen, you'll see we have a little home icon. That'll take you back to the home page. And then we have this little map icon. This is a site map. This is not to the maps page, but it's a little site map. Nope, this little pop-up menu is getting in my way, sorry. So this is an easy way to navigate our website. It's pretty much a one-page view of every page on our site that you could be interested in. From exemptions, tools, anything you'd want to find out on our website can be found easily through this site map. And once again, I'm in the top middle of the screen. click on this little sitemap. Next section, of course, email. You click on that, it's going to open up your email application, and you can write us an email. And then we have our phone number right here. And then to the right, we have a multi-language selection. So this is powered by Google, and there's about 200 or so languages we can select from. We did a demographic study. These are the top group in Volusia County. So these are the ones we currently support. If you need us to add another one to the list, just let us know. It's very easy. But all you do is click on that link, whatever language you like to see it in. It'll translate the page for you, just like that. If you want to take it back, you just click this Show Original, and you're back to English. All right, that is our first top row. Moving along to this blue row, agricultural maps, tangible property, links, contact us, and locations. Let's start with agriculture. So if you want to get the agricultural classification on a property, this page here kind of lays out how you do that. Gives you the guidelines, tells you the requirements that must be met, and has the actual application there as well. So if you have any questions about ag, they are all in our Orange City office. So Orange City is ag, and here is all the guidelines and everything you need to know about ag. All right, back to our home page. I'm going to skip maps for now. We're to come back to that later. Tangible property. We just had the deadline for the tangible personal property renewals, unless you requested an extension. It was April 1st to turn in that return. So tangible personal property, that's like the stuff of a business. That is the equipment, the furniture, the computers, things of that nature. Or if you're a mobile home, it's the attachments to the mobile homes, not the mobile home themselves. Those taxes are paid through like the tag. They get a sticker. But if they have an attachment to the mobile home, like a carport or a shed, we pick those up under the tangible personal property section. Okay. So if you're trying to find a mobile home park and you just can't find it because you're looking in real property, well, you might want to look in tangible personal property because that's where a lot of the mobile homes are kept. Okay. This next section right here is links. Now we linked just about every municipality in the county, along with some other county sites and state sites. What I want to draw your attention to real quick is this really cool one right here. It's called Volusia County GIS mapping. Now this page is really buried in Volusia County's site. So if you go to volusia.org and you have to go to information technology, then geographical information services, and then mapping, then you'll get here. But we just link right to it. This has a lot of cool maps. So I know realtors tend to like the HOAs and finding HOA associations. If you go here, click page 2. Right here, this little house, it has a map of all the HOAs for condos, cooperatives, mobile homes, homeowner associations. And I believe there's a way you can extract that into a mailing list. I'm not quite sure. This is not a property appraiser map. This is a Volusia County map, but I have seen it extracted before. So once again, let me just minimize this a little bit. I'll show you how to do that again. You're at our website. You click Volusia County GIS mapping. Click any one of these 6 pictures up here. And you go back to page 2. And that one is homeowners associations. And there's a lot of other little cool maps that the county puts together. So emergency management stuff, where to, election info, cool outdoor stuff. So if you're talking to a customer and you want to, hey, what can I do in their neighborhood? Just pull up the map. You can kind of see what's going on in that neighborhood. All right. So that's the link section. Next one we have is contact us. That is, of course, a way to contact us. We have many ways to contact us, in person, email, over the phone. But what we'd like to do here is these are the things people most often contact us about. So it's either filing for homestead, or they want to update their mailing address, or they have questions about exemptions. So we have these little buttons at the top of the page that just kind of give the basics of that. That way, maybe they don't need to contact us, or some people are kind of shy. They just want to read about themselves. So we kind of get that out there ahead of everything. But moving down that page, we of course have 4 offices throughout the county. DeLand is the main office. So DeLand is the hub. We have a Holly Hill office, a New Smyrna Beach office. That one just moved to the old courthouse annex right there on Riverside. It was on Canal Street, but it kind of just went around the corner to Canal Street, or Riverside Drive, sorry. And then, of course, our Orange City office. So if you're familiar with Orange City, there's a bowling alley kind of in that area. So, and that's actually expanding. So it's under construction at the moment, but you can still go there and get what you need. Then on the contact page, moving down, all the phone numbers for all the departments and all of our offices. Any type of person you want to reach out and contact in our office, you can find their number here. And you'll notice each one of these has an email little link next to that. You click on that and you can email the director for that particular section directly. All right, goes right to them. And if you have a question about the website, you give this number a ring and someone in the IT department will pick up the phone and be more than happy to help you. And of course, email the general office address right there. All right. Of course, this disclaimer, if you do email us, it's more likely going to be a public record. So don't put anything in there that you wouldn't want the public to see. All right, we'll go back up to the top. That was contact us. And let's go to locations. So we just talked about where they are, but now let's talk about what's at each location. So you notice the land, like I said, it's the main office. That has District 1. It has our administration, condominiums, our deeds and GIS operations, a good section of our commercial department, and of course the IT department. So that's in DeLand. Holly Hill, that handles districts 2 and 3 and TPP. All of our TPP is in our Holly Hill office. So if you want to go see someone about TPP in person, you're going to have to head out to the Holly Hill office. New Smyrna Beach has our District 4, and Orange City has our District 5, and like I mentioned before, our ag departments. All right. They all have phone numbers. We open at 7:30. We kind of get that extra half hour in the morning, so in case someone has to be to work at 8 and they kind of need to drop off a homestead exemption or they have a question, you know, we're open just a little bit earlier to assist the public that way. And that's what we're all about here, helping the public. All right, so that takes care of that blue bar. Moving across to this white bar, you'll notice how we keep clicking on this logo right here. That always takes us back to the homepage. So if you always want to get back to the homepage, you can always just click that logo right there, and it'll get you back home where you're looking for. All right. I'm going to skip the search for now. We'll come back to that later. This download section. So you guys will probably be most interested in a few of these. So forms, of course, every form that our office, can use, it can be found here, whether it's an address change form, a homestead exemption form, remove confidential listing from your property form. Any type of form can be found here in our downloads property appraisers forms. This next one, if you or someone at your office knows how to use Access, I recommend this. This is updated every week. And what this is an Access database of pretty much our entire, property appraiser database. It has the situs addresses, the exemptions, the values, the commercial buildings, residential buildings, just everything. Everything we can give out publicly is in this database. So since this is an office, you probably have some office staff out there who are familiar with this Access, and they can create reports, and they can just, every week once this data gets refreshed, they can just pop them out. Hey, where's all the new listings or the new sales or, whatever you guys could be looking for. It'll all be done here. And we also go back to the 2003 in the final tax rolls. And like I said, this working tax roll, it is updated updated weekly. All right, the next download, I'll briefly go over these, but I think you guys are going to like the non-HX weekly extract. So let's just go over how to interpret the parcel ID. So for you realtors who've been around a while, you'll notice our office used to have a full PID and a short PID and an alternate key. Now we only have the short PID and the alternate key. But if you really need that full PID, you could convert that short PID to the full PID, and this guide kind of explains how to do that. We're working towards putting in a little tool here where you just type in the short PID or the alt key, and it gives you everything you're looking for. All right, next one, our budget. Of course, just our budget, nothing fancy there. List, just had a question. Does the list include private sales? If a sale is recorded,
Thank you.
if a sale is recorded, we get it.
Go get my car fixed again.
So like I said, but we're about 3 weeks behind the clerk. So once I record it for the clerk has to, review it, do their whole process, and then it has to come to our office, and our office has to review it, and then it gets updated into our system. So yes, we get all sales that are recorded in Volusia County, and but there's a couple weeks lag time between when it's recorded to when you might see it in our office, and that's why there's just a whole lot of people that look at that stuff before it gets pushed out there. Historical data. I'm going to come back to this later, so I'm going to skip this for now. Non-HX weekly extract. Now this one here, you guys would probably like. What this is, it's a list, and we generate these weekly as well, of all properties in Volusia County broken down by their millage group that do not have a homestead exemption. And the reason realtors like this is because we get these requests, hey, can I have a vacant property list, or something like that. We don't really track that here, but so the next best thing we can do is kind of say, hey, if someone's homesteading a property, that's more than likely owned, and occupied by the owner. So if you're looking for like a vacant property list for a targeted mailing or whatever you're looking for, these right here are every parcel in that millage group that doesn't have a homestead on it. So let's just look at the land. You click on that, opens right up. Let me drag it to the right monitor. And it tells you the alt key, the tax district, the neighborhood, what kind of property it is. So if you want single families, but we also have a lot of cool value information in here and the number of buildings. And we also show the last sale date, the last sale price, the square footage, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, how big the lot is in square footage and acreage. If it's commercial and it has living units, we'll put all that out there. So we have all this out here. It's all generated and refreshed every week for you. So feel free to come on down and download that as you need. So once again, that's downloads, non-HX weekly extracts. Okay. And go back to the home page. This next one is exemptions. I'm going to touch on, let's go. Now there's a lot of them. Obviously I don't have all day to go through all these with you. We got about an hour, hour and a half. So let's just talk about senior. That's a pretty popular one. So assuming that a person has a homestead exemption on their property and they are 65 years or older as of January 1 for that year, and their annual household, and I say household because that includes anyone else living in that house. So if grandma and grandpa have grandkids living there and the grandkids work, their income would contribute towards this adjusted gross income value as well. But if they meet all those requirements, they don't exceed this $31,100, which is adjusted annually. It's their homestead property, and they're 65 as of January for that year. All these additional authorities, allow for an additional exemption up to $50,000. You can see the county allows for $50,000, Oak Hill allows for $10,000, and that goes on top of the homestead exemption. All right, and like I said, since there are income, limitation to it, income proof must be provided. If you have any questions about that, just give our number a call and we'll be able to walk you through that. But basically, if you file a tax return, we want to see your tax return. And if not, then we need your income statements. For those people who have homestead and meet the senior requirements and they've been living in that home for 25 years or more, if that just value of that property is $250,000 or less for that first year, then these authorities allow complete exemption from taxation. So, if you know people or you're selling a home to someone or whatnot, there's a lot of exemption information out there. So let's also talk about veterans exemptions because there are a lot of different ones. So if you're a veteran who's disabled 10% or more for any reason through the VA, there's a $5,000 exemption. That doesn't mean $5,000 of your taxes gets reduced. That means $5,000 of the value is, exempt from taxation. Saves about $100 in your tax bill. But like I said, any veteran disabled 10% or more for any reason. Moving next one, combat related. If a veteran is disabled and they're 65 years or old, they're honorably discharged, and they have a disability that's been proven to be as combat related, then they get that percentage reduced from their taxes. So if they're 60% disabled, then they get a 60% exemption of the value. Okay, so that one's it kind of fluctuates depending on the percentage. So we can't give you an amount also based on the value, but just know they're 65, honorably discharged, and have a combat related injury, then they get exempt for the percentage of their disability. Of course, if they're 100% totally and permanently disabled, then they don't pay taxes in the state of Florida. They will pay non-ad valorem assessments. So things like garbage or stormwater, those flat fees. So if you're doing a closing and they say, hey, I'm a 100% disabled vet, I don't pay taxes. True, you don't pay ad valorem taxes, but just let them know there are things like garbage and stormwater that aren't, exempted by that. And there's a couple more, and they're listed here on our page. But exemptions, we have lots of exemptions, and we have lots of information out there. All right, going back home. All right, let's go to this. How do I? A lot of these I will cover here in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to skip how do I search for a parcel. We'll talk about that later. How do I file homestead online? I'll skip that. I'm going to skip that. Skip that. Skip that. How do I make a mailing list? So this is something we're currently developing. What this is a mailing list generator. So if you have any ideas for fields or whatnot that you'd like to put out there, let us know. So let's look at Deltona and DeLand. And I'm just going to click generate mailing list. And it's really quick, usually under 10 seconds or so. It's going to be a mailing list for the entire cities of DeLand and Deltona. And it's just the mailing fields. There it goes. It took all the 10 seconds, and let me pull it over for you. It's got the all key, the owner, and their mailing address. And let's see how many rows that is. So there's 75,065 because we have a header row. And really quickly. So if you ever wanted to do a targeted mailing, you come here to our how do I make a mailing list. It'll take you right to this page. And like I said, any ideas for filters, let us know. And we're working on building that. Actually, it's currently in development. All right. How do I report exemption fraud? So as you all know, if someone has a homestead on their property that they're not entitled to, their tax amounts being reduced and lowered when it shouldn't be, which raises the tax burden for everybody else, because those taxing authorities aren't going to lower their budgets more than likely, so they're just going to raise that millage rate. So if the exemption amounts are artificially higher, that tax base gets reduced, which in turn raises the millage rate for everyone else. So if you know someone or think there may be someone who has an exemption somewhere else or out of state even, you can let our office know by filling out this form online. It's very easy. And an email will get generated and sent directly to our homestead compliance office. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can just give them a call. We don't need your name or address. You can just say, hey, these people over here at 123 Street Road, they have homestead and they shouldn't, and they'll investigate. All right. So that's how do I report exemption fraud. Next one, how do I file a petition? So the Value Adjustment Board. In case you're not familiar with that, what they are, they're a neutral third party. They're think of it like the complaints department for the property appraiser's office. So we assign a value to the property, and if the taxpayer doesn't agree with that value, and we're trying to work with them, and we just can't come to a consensus, they can petition the Value Adjustment Board, and the Value Adjustment Board will make a decision as to value of the property. It's not related to our office, so like I said, they're a neutral third party. It's quasi-judicial, so they'll present their evidence. We'll present our evidence, how we came to the value, and they'll make a decision, and we'll abide by it, of course. So that's how do I get out of full screen mode. How do I file a petition? And next one, how do I work for the property appraiser? We already showed that here earlier when we clicked on that, but that's just our jobs website link. All right. I'm going to skip this middle section here because there's a lot there, and we'll come back to it in just a minute. Kind of went through these social media links already. We're going to come to property record search here in just a little bit. We already talked about downloads, so now let's talk about historical data. So historical data, we put these reports out every year. Let's look at 2020. And as you can see, they're chronological throughout the year. So we have a few processes that, it's very cyclical, our job here. So June 1st, are what we call pre-preliminary. We kind of say, hey, look, this is kind of what the values are looking like right now. And then July 1st, our preliminary, this is, all right, this is as of right now, these are the values. So cities, start looking at your budget, start, get an idea what your millage rates might need to be because this is your tax base. Keep in mind, people are still filing for exemptions at this point. They're just late filing. So of course that tax, those tax numbers will be, adjusted throughout. But then we come to August, which is of course trim time. That's when that notice of proposed property taxes come out. And with the hearings and the dates, and it's got your exemptions, or if you forgot to file for your exemption, this is usually when they figure it out, if they don't figure it out their tax bill. But this is one of the busiest times in our office, as you can imagine. And then after we do all that and the tax roll has been certified and finalized, all the exemptions that are going to be there are there. We have the final tax roll. We give that to the tax collector, and they then, of course, collect those taxes. And there's another thing, the post VAB, which is that value adjustment board I talked about. So after the final tax roll, we've had those discussions with the taxpayers that we just can't come to an agreement. The VAB is going on, that value adjustment board, and then this year it finished super late because of COVID, but it's normally done in January-ish, early January. So, but let's look at these sum reports. We have the final values grouped by property classification with pie charts. Let's pick on, you guys are where? New Smyrna? Let's look at New Smyrna Beach. So let me just zoom in on this for you guys. So what we do is we break down, each tax district. So we can see in New Smyrna, we have 12,186 single families, of which 8,300 are homesteaded, and there's the value. But if you come on down to the bottom, we group them up, and then you can see their tax base is largely residential in nature. Almost 83% of New Smyrna Beach tax base is residential. So if you're kind of trying to get an idea of a community, you can just come here and see what's going on there. Let me just minimize that a little bit. And we have that, of course, for every municipality, every taxing district out there. A lot of other neat reports in our historical data. Of course, we won't go through them all, but it's worth coming through here and checking out. Final millage rates. I know realtors kind of like to see those millage rates. So every year we post the millage rates for what the final millage rates have been. So if you're ever looking for millage rates, you can always go to our website, historical data, final millage rates. All right, let me go back home. Exemption information we talked about. Let's talk about appraisal information right now. All right. So nothing our office does is a secret. We're very wide open, very accountable. Everything we do is above the board, and we'll be more than happy to explain our processes or what sales we use to value the property. Like I said, nothing's a secret here. But if you're ever curious about, what our codes mean, things of that nature, you can come to the appraisal information section and we list all of this. So I'm just going to go to residential building floor types. So if you see these codes, hey, they have a 14, what does that mean? Well, it's carpet. Now we usually list all these on our property record cards too, but if you come across a listing somewhere and you're just curious what they are, you don't want to call our office or foreclose, you can come here and see what they are. So let's go back to the top. And that is the appraisal information. Next one, value adjustment board. We already looked at that with a how do I file a petition. Frequently asked questions. Every site has this FAQ section, but we really list, what, pertinent to our office. So you can toggle them one at a time or click on it and it'll give you the answer. But if you have some questions and you just kind of want to go through our website or learn a little bit about the process, feel free to hit the FAQ section. All right, our budgets. Let me go back to our homepage. Scroll back on down. That was our FAQs. We talked about our budgets. We've talked about our office locations. We talked about our contact us. Let's talk about our property owner's bill of rights. So this was something the Florida legislature said all Florida property appraisers must have on their website. So we do. And it's just a bill of rights that all property owners have. All right. All right. And unless we have any questions, I'm going to move on to these big buttons and some searching. All right. Then we'll look at, so coming up, we'll have these buttons. We'll do some searches. We'll look at some property record cards and we'll hit some maps up. And then that should about do it for us. But filing for Homestead Online, of course, it's real easy. You come here, You make sure you have all this good stuff. You check the boxes. You can't click go without checking these boxes, folks. Make sure you have everything you need to file for homestead before you file for homestead, because it's just not going to work. And once you get to that, you click file homestead online. It's going to take you here where you can log into your account and file for homestead online. Very quick, very easy to do. If you have any questions during the process, of course, call our office. We are here to help. Estimate your taxes. So this is pretty cool. So if you're selling a home and your buyers are wondering, well, what are the taxes going to be like? Maybe they're buying a home that's been homesteaded for 30 years and they have this huge Save Our Homes cap on it. And, it's just, I have no idea what their tax bill is going to look like. We say, always come here, select the area they're doing, and put in the sale price. Odds are our sale price is going to be higher than what we value it as. Not always the case, though, but generally, if it's an open market sale, everyone's a informed buyer and seller. The market will determine a pretty good price, and we try to shoot for around 85% of market. Not exactly 85, but above, below. We try to go in that bubble. So we say put the sale price there, check any exemptions that they may qualify for, and then of course, your tax estimate's going to go ahead and go right there. If they have portability, meaning they moved from a county within the state of Florida, any county within the state of Florida, and they had homestead within the last 3 years, you just put in the prior adjust and then the prior assessed. And whether or not they're upsizing or downsizing, it'll calculate their portability amount and apply it to their exemption. So, and you would get those numbers from their prior tax bill, their prior trim notice, or call their old property purchase office. Okay, it's very easy to do, very quick. They'll know exactly what you're talking about. So it just helps you set those escrow numbers more accurately. All right, that was our estimator. Next one we'll talk about is a mortgage letter. Now this is pretty cool. We always have this sample parcel. So a mortgage letter is, say you just bought a house and during closing, they figure your taxes are going to be this amount based on no exemptions and the value. But say you come in and you file for homestead. Well, now your taxes are going to be about $1,000 lower. You don't want them saving that extra money in your escrow because, hey, it's February and I don't want to do this until my tax bill comes out in November. So what you can do is you can come to our office, our website or our office, click on this mortgage letter button, put in your alt key, your address, whatever it is, generate a mortgage letter, and it'll just say, hey, look, based on the value, based on last year's millage rates, based on the current exemptions, this is what the taxes may, be. We're not guaranteed because, of course, we don't know the millage rate. This is a working tax roll. The values are going up and down, fluctuating throughout the year, but this should be pretty close to, what their tax will look like, with the exemption. So it's on our letterhead, and what the taxpayer can do, they can forward this to their financing institution. Not guaranteed they're going to make an adjustment. We can't do that. Of course, all we can do is provide this letter. But, that is a service that Volusia County does, which is pretty unique to us, I do believe. All right, next one. Have you moved? Pretty much what you would think it is. It's an online address change. You put your name, your email address, your prior mailing address, your new mailing address, and submit it to us, and we'll update that mailing address for your properties. Very important to keep your mailing address up to date, particularly with our office, because we are pretty much the official/unofficial mailing address holders for all county offices. Tax collectors gets their mailing address from us. Permitting gets all their mailing address and parcel information from us. We're kind of the source of all data for everyone. So keep us up to date, and we'll keep everyone else up to date. If it all works as intended, right? Important dates. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, we are very cyclical in nature here in the property appraiser's office. So you kind of get an idea of what's going on in our office, based on where we're at in our calendar. All right. And help tutorials. This is a fun little section. We have videos, tutorials, what's going on, how to do things, particularly with the map. So the map has a lot of cool functionality to it, and it takes a minute to learn though. But once you learn it, it's pretty easy. And say you don't want to call and say you're being a little shy, we have a video here. You just play a video how to measure on the map. You just go here and watch a YouTube video for a minute and a half, and now you know how to measure on the map. And you did it all from the comfort of your home. Or if you want to search by location or owner name or the classic search tip. All right there in help tutorials. Now let's talk about probably why you're all here, doing searches. So when you land on our homepage, you can pretty much do everything you want from our homepage. Right here, you can do a search by name, address, alt key, or partial ID. And we have some cool logic built into this. So what you see is I just typed in 123 Indiana. I didn't specify east or west, so it showed me east and west. Our old website, you would have found no results. I can do 123 East Indiana, and it's going to narrow me down to just E Indiana. Or I can just call it 123 W Indiana, if I can spell. And it's going to find me that 123 W Indiana. So whether or not you use the full prefix, you don't have the prefix, or you just use the initial, we're going to find your property here, no matter how you search for it. Also, you search by owner name, last name, and then first name. Just always keep in mind you're searching our property record. So if you're looking for a street, we had to call. They were, I think it was Charles Richard Beale Avenue on the sign, but our office has it at 1792. So we have the one address, one street name in our office. So just kind of think, hey, does this street have more than one name? And if so, what does the property appraiser have it as? If you don't know, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to tell you. Also, we do have abbreviations in some of our streets, especially from our older ones. So international might be abbreviated INTL. So if you're trying to find something on International Speedway Boulevard, if you don't type in INTL, you might not find it. So just always keep in mind, this isn't Google. This is a Volusia County Property Appraiser's data that you're searching. All right. And of course, you can switch between real or tangible. Questions or comments, call us, visit us. And of course, here we have the classic search. So if you liked our old website and the way that one searched, this classic search has the same functionality and layout right here. That's why it's called the classic search. So let's just go ahead and do a couple classic search for you and do some tips and tricks here. We can always start with a short parcel ID. That, of course, is that section, township, range, subdivision, block, lot. That's how you can, get to our office. This new site allows you to put dashes in. It'll take care of that. The old one, you could not put a dash in there to save your life. It wouldn't find anything. Or you can do a partial alt key, and it'll find that for you. I'm sorry, short parcel ID. Alternate keys, they're great. There are a 7-digit unique number assigned to each property. Has nothing to do with where the property is found. All right, it's just a number. It's usually used by our office and the tax collector's office, maybe a few other county offices here, but that's just a quick, 7-digit identifier. That's good to use in our office. Owners' names. So like I said, this is also based on how our data is. So if you're selling or buying Frank's house and you're looking for Frank, you might not find Frank because Frank might be Francis. All right. Or if you're looking, just keep thinking proper names, because people usually record a deed, and that's what we put in our system is what was recorded on the deed. Or if they were, not married or they got married or divorced and their name changed, but they didn't tell our office, we might not have that current name. So like I said, it's always important to keep us up to date with what's going on your properties. But let me just show you a quick little tip. I'm searching for Robin Labrie. I don't find anything. It says no matches found. But what we do have is called a wildcard. It's an asterisk. If you put that in anywhere, it's going to look for Labrie and then anything, because that wildcard, and then you'll see Robin, and then it's always going to pad a wildcard at the end. So that functionality still remains here. You can still do wildcard, city here, and you can also mix and match these. So if we do Labrie on Toledo, well, let me clear the form. Make sure nothing's there. I'm going to search. I'm going to find all the Labries. Then I want to narrow that down. Cool. I know the Liberties live on Toledo that I'm looking for. Let that populate, hit search, and it'll filter that based on a combination of fields. So this is a multi-select combination search. You can do one field, you can do more fields. The more fields you put in, the more it's going to search. So sometimes less is more. All right. You might not want to get too specific because there might be a miscommunication between what you think's there and what our office has there, especially with the street names and the spellings. And particularly with these prefix directions. A lot of people think there's a direction there when there's not. And if you put it there and it doesn't exist, well, our office isn't going to find it because it's not there. All right, now I'm going to do, now that was our classic search. Now I am going to maximize this for y'all. A real property search. Now this works the same as our front page search. Very quick, very easy to use. So let's look for my name. Look for Bailey James. It's just going to start, filtering and typing as you go. It waits 1.8 seconds after you click that last key to do a search, and as soon as you let go, it's going to filter on what you're looking for. But when you're here, and if you find one search, it's going to go directly to that property record card for that parcel you're looking for. That's why I went immediately here to this building, because there was only 123 West Indiana. It goes right to that property record card. All right, let's go back here. We already looked at the classic search. Now let's look at an advanced search. Now we're still tweaking this advanced search a little bit, but this is it's a group and criteria search. And depending on what group you have here, the criteria will change over here on the right. You see? So let's go to parcel data and let's look for homes in Pearson that have homestead. And I'm just going to group criteria, selecting my criteria and clicking add. And it's automatically filtering as I click add. Then let's put a PC code in there of 0100 single families. So I'm looking for single family homes. We click add that are homesteaded in Pearson, and you can see it's already loading. Please wait. And it just filtered that. Let's narrow that down even more. Let's go to the building data. Let's say I only want ones that are built from 2005 to 2010 in Pearson. Add that. And the more filters you add, the more it's going to filter and narrow down those search results for you. And once you get to what you're looking for, I have 20. I'm going to show 25. It's going to, build that list of results for me here. I can select them all from here, and I can download them, or I can view them all here. So if I viewed them all, I have now all 20 in my little drop down list here on the right. I can click between, which parcels I'm looking for here, or I can, scroll back and forth through these arrows here. It's going to go back and forth through this list of parcels I have. We're working on a way to get back to that search results. So currently you can't just click back and go back to it, but that's something we're developing, at the moment too. But if you do have a search results and you have to download them, or you haven't, you want to look through them, this is a quick, easy way to do that. All right, personal property. So this, once again, is that stuff of, the buildings. Sorry, I just had someone walk on. So this is the stuff of, the business equipment, the computers, the chairs, things of that nature, or those mobile homes attachments. So those are all found in the personal property section. So if you know a mobile home park, so this one I think it's called like Lake Helen Woods or Villas or something. I'll just select one real quick. A lot of mobile home stuff is confidential, so we don't have a lot of personal property information is confidential, so we don't really have a whole lot showing here. But if we do have a real reference number that will take you directly to the real property associated with this personal property. So this one is a mobile home, but this is sitting on a piece of land somewhere, right? So that piece of land is real property. So if there's a permit that needs to get pulled, it's going to be for that land because they need a parcel number. Personal property does not have a parcel number. It only has an alternate key. So if you're looking up that personal property and you want to see where all those permits are, come here, click on real reference, and it's going to do a search for that alternate key you clicked on, and now you're looking at the real property for that personal property. So this is that mobile home park. This is the land for the entire mobile home park. And like I said, if you want to see the permits, you just come here, click the permits tab, which I'm going to go through here in just a little bit. But that's where they all are for that mobile home park. Okay. Sales search. So this is a good search. You can search by neighborhood, subdivision, municipality, street name, or zip code. Let's just do a subdivision search. You can type in the subdivision, and if you know it, it's gonna filter in for you. So let's look at Deltona Lakes. There's always something selling Deltona. Let's just keep from January 1st, 2020 to 4/14, 2021. Let's not worry about our prices. Let's do only qualified sales. When I click search, oh, it didn't find any sales. Let's do all sales. Let's go back a couple of years. I guess not in Deltona. Or maybe the subdivision just has no sales, which is very possible. Oh, come on. All right. I know one that does have searches. Neighborhood sales. There we go. So this one is a neighborhood, 1862. Go from January 1st to January or to today. Here's all the sales for that particular neighborhood. And I'll show you how I did this one real quick, but this is just our sales search. Just want to demonstrate what the search results look like down here. You can click on your searches and you can, once again, either download them or view those selected parcels. Okay. And we'll talk about our map here in just a little bit. So now let's talk about our property record card. I always like to use this building because we don't like to pick on any taxpayers, and the county building has a lot of good information here. So this is the county admin building. This is in DeLand. This is where we're currently zooming you all from. So when you're looking at the parcels, it's search results. You'll notice it has a lot of information just right there. Yes, you come in, it's got that nice picture, pictometry, where you can change the view that you're looking for it from. You can split pane it, all types of cool stuff in this little window. But we have a big pictometry window we'll talk about here in just a little bit that has the same functionality, but it takes up a lot more screen. But of course, we start with the alternate key, parcel ID, township range section, subdivision block lot. If this was a business, the business name would be there if we had it on record. Keep in mind, once again, you're looking at our records. We don't always have business names on our records. So if we have it in our records, it's going to be there. We'll list all the owners that we have on record here. Mailing address will go right here. If you need to update your mailing address, you can click this link. It's going to take you to our online address change. Physical address, which of course can be different from the mailing address. Number of buildings on that parcel, the neighborhood, and right here. Now this neighborhood sales will take you to our sales search and pre-populate it with the parcel that you're looking at's neighborhood, and it'll go back to January 1st, 2020 for that neighborhood. So if I click on that, there's none for this neighborhood. But if I look on another parcel that I know this neighborhood has sales, I click this neighborhood sales, I can see this neighborhood is 1862. Click on this, it's the neighborhood 1862. And then you can modify those dates. So if you're trying to find comps for a house you're selling, you can go there. And if we have a sale on record, more than likely these houses would be, these properties would be similar to the one in the neighborhood. That's how we group properties here. We group them in neighborhoods based on similar characteristics and similar locations. Very similar to subdivisions. So neighborhood subdivisions very close, but not exactly. Okay. Let's go back to that parcel. Subdivision name right here. Property use. Now this is a code as determined by the Florida Department of Revenue. They oversee all property appraisers in the state of Florida, and they have these list of codes and descriptions. So based on the highest and best use of that property, That's what we have it coded as. Sometimes you'll see a home that's in like a downtown area. It's just like a house, but we may have it coded as vacant commercial. That's because its highest and best use would be not a single family residence in a commercial area, but as vacant commercial land in that area. So sometimes you might see something that doesn't look right, but keep in mind, you're looking at our data for our office's use to create that annual tax roll. And sometimes the highest and best use is not the current use of a property. All right. Tax district. Very important. Tax district determines the millage rate for the property. So if someone has an address that's in DeLand, but they're in unincorporated Volusia County, they're going to pay unincorporated Volusia County taxes. That comes with the non-ad valorem as well. So garbage and stormwater fees for unincorporated Volusia County, but within incorporated DeLand, you don't have a garbage and stormwater non-ad valorem. I think it's included in one of their utility bills they get every month, like their water bill. So millage rates differ between municipalities. Non-ad valorem fees differ between municipalities. So always check which municipality they're in, because that's going to determine their tax bill. Very, very important, especially those higher value homes, because the higher the value, the higher off the difference between those tax rates can be. We'll show the most recent certified millage rate, and then if it's homestead or not. If it's not, you can apply for homestead online. Agricultural classification will tell you if there's currently an agricultural classification on that property, yes or no. And if you want more information, you can always get more additional agriculture information. And then moving on down, we always default to those values and exemptions. We're currently on the values and exemptions tab. So we have the last three, current plus 2, so 3 total tax years. The valuation method, the improvement values, the land value, and the just, which is the total of the improvements and the land. Now, improvement value includes buildings and miscellaneous improvements. Miscellaneous improvements are things that are improvements but are not buildings. So think of like a carport or a shed, screen enclosure, things of that nature. They're not sketched, habitable buildings. But they're included in this improvement value. And land value, of course, is the land value. Let's find a parcel that actually that pays taxes, like these county ones. I know this guy won't mind. So right here, depending on where the property's at, of course, determines its tax authorities that it pays taxes to. So what we have here is this property, and we show its market value, the assessed value, any exemptions, taxable values, millage rates, and we break down the taxes here. We also list non-ad valorems that may or may not be on the property. So always check here if you want to see a non-ad valorem. And then we give an estimation of taxes of the way it currently stands, or what it could be without all their homestead savings. So if you were to sell this property and the new owner has no portability and they wouldn't get any exemptions for whatever reason, this second line right here is a more accurate representation of what their first tax bill may be, or the second tax bill, depending on where they're at in the year. So always check that, because we get these stories. They'll buy this house and they say, "Oh, these people pay $1,600 a year in taxes. That's what I'm going to pay." No, they're going to probably pay this, maybe a little bit less if they get homestead, but all this homestead savings that these other people have built up over the years, it's there. So they'll take it with them. All those caps, they'll come right off. So we've had some angry phone calls, but once we explain the situation, they're understanding. But it's not a good time for anyone. So please just be familiar with it, how it works, and any questions, we're here to answer them. We kind of break down where their tax dollars are going. There's a nice little pie chart here, and we also color code up here with each one of these funds, which mill group they belong, or which they belong to, which one of those little groups. And then we show values back to 2012 down here at the bottom. So that's our values and exemption page. Next one, land and buildings. So we start off with our land data. Now, a change that you may or may not have noticed is we show how we value this parcel. We don't show everything anymore because it was not always the most accurate. For example, if you had an odd shaped lot, and we were valuing it by front foot. Um, some people think you just, length times width equals total square footage, but those odd shaped lots, not necessarily true. So our camera system, our computer system here, it would just do front, length times width, and that square footage would show up, but it wouldn't be accurate and it wouldn't impact our values because we are valuing it by front foot. So, but we'd still show that square footage. So we don't show it now unless we're valuing it that way. That way there's no misleading information out there. So that's led to some, calls from individuals saying, hey, you used to show the square footage or the front footage. And, now we only show how we value it. That way it's the most accurate information because we don't want, inaccurate information out there. Next one, residential buildings. We'll show all the buildings on a parcel here. And if you want to see how we come to these values, just click that and it breaks down the entire calculation out for you. Like I said, nothing to hide. Everything we have is out here in the open. Show the sketches and any miscellaneous improvements that all can be found here. Sales, we'll show the sales for this property right here in the sales tab. Going back to the mid 80s, the clerk has indexed all the sales. So if it's available, we hyperlink to it. So if I click on this, it's going to go to the clerk site. It's going to show me that, the page, and the top one should be the deed for it. So you click on that. And it's going to do its redaction processing, and you can see that deed for that property and that sale that you just clicked on. All right. This is a good place to get a legal description, or if you're trying to track down a chain title, you can start here. It's always a good place to start. Let me just go back. But we're in the sales tab here, and here's all the sales. All right. Legal. This legal tab right here. Of course, we'll have what's called a legal description to our office. This isn't a legal description that I would use in a deed or things of that nature. This is just a legal description as our office uses it. We abbreviate these things a lot. So, it's always best to get the real legal description from a survey or, try to look up the prior deed. We'll also list the millage group again and the section, township, range, subdivision, block, lot, and the date the parcel was created in our system. All right, those are these buttons right here. And of course, we link to the property tax bill at the tax collector site. You just click on that and it goes right to the tax bill. All right, moving across these top buttons here. Tax estimate shows you how the property currently stands. Gives you an estimate of what is currently there with the current exemptions. All right. So if you want to get an idea of something that might be different, we link to our tax estimate tool and you can go ahead and play with the numbers there. It's kind of pre-populated and you put your numbers in there. All right. This next tab here is permits. Now, I'm going to say it again. You're viewing the property appraiser's data. We are not the permitting department. We don't get every single permit that a property may have on it. So, we're interested in most of the permits, but we're not interested in every single permit that someone will pull. So, like I said, you're viewing the property appraiser's data, and if we don't have the permit here, it's probably because we didn't need it for our system. And we are not the permit issuing authority. And if you ever need to get information about a permit, you should always contact the permit issuing authority. Don't rely on our website because, like I said, you're just viewing our data for our use. But what we do is we link to every permitting authority in the county. And the top one here will always be that parcel's permitting authority. So if you want to look at this parcel's permits, go here, click Volusia County Connect Live. And these are the people who actually issue the permits. Okay, you can kind of see what's mechanical, electrical, re-roof, electrical permits. They're all there. You can click on them, call them, get the information from them. They'll tell you they're open, closed, expired, final, whatever have you. They would be the appropriate department. So if we're looking at a city of DeLand, let's go to classic, city DeLand, search. Oh, they're still not incorporated. I know. We'll go back to 123 West Indiana. They are in DeLand. So if I go to the permits tab and click here, the very first one is going to be DeLand. Then you go to the land billing division, and this is who you would contact for any permit information for that parcel. So permitting, same thing with zoning. You need to contact the zoning department. If property appraisers is not zoning, zoning can change quite frankly for a parcel, and it really, you know, yeah, we try to look at it, but our valuing is usually based on sales. So zoning, not really something we really concern ourselves with too much in this office. Okay. All right, now let's go ahead and look at this. I'm gonna skip map and pictometry. We're gonna finish with those. We have a nice parcel summary here. This is pretty much everything in one sheet, one print, one easy to find location. Or if you want to piece it out, you can select none of them. Let's do a summary and sales and permits. You can generate PDFs, and it's going to be of those sections that you selected. Okay, so that's a couple different ways to print. Now let's go to our map. So you either go to the map here, and it'll just be in this window, or you can go to the map up top, and your map is going to be much bigger. That's why I'm going to use it here. Full screen it for you. So our mapping application has a lot of stuff to it. I'm going to go over just some brief highlights of it. But let's search for a parcel. We'll search for a party later. So I found a parcel here. I went to it, and it has some basic information here. The thing that's kind of confusing to people is when you click on it, that parcel information went away. But if you'll notice, it's got a one of two. If you click this little arrow here, it's going to go back to it, that first bit of parcel data. And if you click more info, it's going to take you to the parcel summary for that. Yeah, that map you were looking at, that property you're looking at. All right. Now let's talk about these little buttons here at the bottom. Each one of these little buttons does something different. You have a legend. Every map has a legend. And depending on which layers you turn on or turn off, that legend will change. So I'm going to look at these layer lists, and I'm clicking these little buttons down here at the bottom. Let's turn on our flood risk zones. And you'll see our flood risk zones popped right up, and my legend changed. Now, these are all the FEMA flood zones. Okay, so we don't answer questions or how it got there. FEMA did this determination. We just map it on our map. So I'm going to turn that off. A new one by the St. Johns River Water Management District is the wetland zones. So you can see my legend updated again with the wetlands vegetation layer based on the St. Johns River Water Management District. So if you're looking at a parcel and you want to see if there's wetlands on it, because that could have some impacts on what needs to be done to it if you're trying to sell it or buy it, you can turn that on right now. Zoning. This is pretty much the only type of zoning information we can give you on our property. This is a county-wide zoning layer. It took a translation between all the cities to kind of, okay, AG1 in Deltona means AG1 or AG3 in DeLand equals AG in the county. So there's a translation table. It's very generalized, very generic. But if you click on a parcel and you have the zoning layer turned on and you go through that list, you'll see the last one is a zoning information. If you click this URL, it's going to take you to the zoning department for that parcel you're looking at, and they can tell you exactly what that means. Now, like I said before, zoning can change. So it's always a good idea to check with that zoning department before you finalize something, because our map is not always, they don't always update our map. They don't tell us they change zoning. But what we do list is the general zoning, that translation I mentioned, but we'll also mention that jurisdiction specific zoning that we have. Okay. Another thing realtors really like to have is lot dimensions. So I'll show you how to turn those on. So I'm here in the layers, in the base map layers. I'm going to click this little arrow to the left to expand it. And that's going to drop down another subset of layers. And one's called cadastral layers. I'm going to click that arrow to its left to expand it. and I'm going to check lot dimensions. You'll notice they didn't turn on because it is a child of cadastral layers, which needs to also be activated, which is also a child of base map layers, which needs to be activated. And once I do that, the lot dimensions populate on our map. All right. Elevation, of course, this is how high or how low a property is. That layer is just going to take a second to load. But what you can see, the closer a line is together is the steeper that rise in elevation. Okay. There's also some subsets here. You can change it to 5-foot contours and it'll give you a little bit of a wider slope. Or if you want to do a grayscale, you turn that on. It kind of gives you a grayscale slope of that elevation. So depending on what you're looking for, determines on what you're looking for, or determines what layers you turn on or turn off. Let's turn on some aerials now. Aerials, of course, are pictures. Now they're big files, so they take a second to load, but here they are. So this is the aerial for this property. If you want to look at historical aerials, you go to historicals before 2018, and then you got to turn one of them on. So you'll notice there's always this little arrow to the left, and that kind of expands or collapses, some submenus. So if you want to see this parcel in 2010, turn on the 2010 aerial and make sure you have the one above it turned on as well. And it's going to show you how it was in 2010. A cool little tool I'm going to show you is called our swipe tool. So I have two aerials turned on. I have the current one and the 2010 before 18 turned on. And if I click this down here at the bottom, this little swipe tool, let me just minimize these for you. This allows you to swipe, between those two layers. So if you pay attention to this property up here in the top, back in 2010, it wasn't there, but it's here now. And if you want to get an idea of how properties change throughout the year, you can always turn on the swipe tool and just kind of swipe between the years of what you're looking at. Let me get back to my layer list. And if you want to, of course, you go back to 2015 and current, for the swipe tool, you of course just change that other layer you had on and you can swipe between those years. Okay. Let me turn the swipe tool off and let me change my layer to the most current aerial. All right, so we just close that out. Selecting parcels is really easy. Select by point. You click on the parcel, it's going to select it for you. If you want to select more than one, hold down Shift, and it'll select multiple parcels for you. Okay. Or if you want to select by a rectangle, you just draw a rectangle, and everything that rectangle touches, it's going to select. We have select by polygon. You just click to start drawing. Every time you click, it's going to put a point somewhere, and you double click to finish, and everything you touch through is going to select. And there's a couple different ways to select here, but circle or line, ways to select parcels. Parcel buffer search. This one's kind of cool. I'm waiting for a little box to load up. Now, what this is good for is if you need to select some parcels around a particular parcel. There should be a little alt key box pop up here in just a second. It doesn't want to behave today. What it is, you type in the alt key, or do I have to select a parcel? So let me just select a parcel by point. No, it's not behaving right now, but what that would allow you to do is select parcels within a buffer of a certain parcel. And you can either do an extract a mailing list or things of that nature. Drawing and measuring, very easy with this new map. So if you want to just draw a line and measure the length of that line, it's very easy. You just click on this gray button, has a little art palette on it. It says draw/measure when you hover over it. And you select which way you want to draw. So I'm going to draw lines to measure, but you always have to turn on the show length measurement before you start drawing, or else it's not going to show anything. And then what you do, you just hold down your mouse and draw, And, you know, I don't know if you can see that. Let me bump up the font size on my text a little bit. So I'm gonna draw and let go. There you go, length 624.6 feet. So if you're trying to get an idea of what the length of a parcel's, boundaries are, you can go ahead and turn that off. Let's turn this picture off. There we go. Yeah, that'll give you an idea. Now, it's not survey accurate. It's nothing you can take to court, but it gets you close. So let me clear that. And if you want to do area, this bottom row here, I always like to do this one. Looks like a little Pac-Man facing down. And once again, show area measurement. You got to turn that on. And let's change it to square feet. And this one, you just kind of click in the area you want it to measure. Got this little cutout guy up here. And double click to finish. And it's going to show you the perimeter and the area measurement right there. You can turn that perimeter measurement on or off. Clear it. Do it again for you. And it'll show you right there. So if you need to measure a parcel or you want to get an idea of the size of a parcel for a listing, like I said, it'll get you close. It's not exact. All right. Mailing list generator. So if you know a parcel's alt key, you can put that in here and it'll take you to it, and you can do a search distance. So let's do 300 feet within this parcel. It's pretty much going to draw a line 300 feet around that parcel, and I can download either PDF labels, a CSV. Let's look at labels. Click download, and there's my labels for my printer. You can put those in your envelopes, whatever you want to do. These are handy in case you have to, you're doing a variance and you want to alert the neighbors that you're making a change to your property. We charge $25 for that. Ours is a certified list, though. And, yeah. And of course, we have an about button here. So any questions on the map? That's kind of the basics to it. How to draw a measure, turn layers on, turn layers off, things of that nature. All right. Now let's talk about pictometry. And I think this is going to be our last thing we talk about, unless we have any questions from anyone. So pictometry. Pictometry is oblique aerial photography. It's flown every year. We like to fly it in December, January, February timeframe. That's when we get what settles for winter around here. Some leaves will fall off. It gives us an idea of what's looking underneath it. But what it is, it's pretty clear pictures, and you can change the image direction that you're viewing the property. So if you're putting together a listing and you just want to get some decent aerial photography for it without paying a drone guy, come to our website, do this. Another cool feature is up here in this menu, we have this little dual pane box. You can put 2 different years of 2 different pictures here. So we have this select date drop-down list, and you can select a date for an aerial. So let's look at 2017, and over here we have 2020, and you can see what happened to this house between those few years. Let me go ahead and make the navigate orientation the same way. Oh, one more time. There we go. So you can see this house over here on the right, there's some type of storm damage or hurricane damage, but they got that fixed with a nice new metal roof over here. All right. So you can really see what changes are happening in a neighborhood really easily and really quickly just by using pictometry with this split pane view. And to get rid of that, of course, you just click that to turn it off. So say you have a nice aerial and you love this, I want to print this. Click right here, export PDF. And we can call it, whatever address of the property is you're looking at. Click OK. It popped up on my other screen, and you'll have a nice PDF of that current map you're looking at. And you can take these, put them on your listing. That is okay with us. Just don't say you took it. And that's about all we have for you today. So do we have any questions? You want us to go over anything else? I know it's a lot. It's been a little about hour and 15 minutes. But if you have any questions, let us know. All right. Looks like we got someone coming in the chat. All right. Can I review how to find permits? Sure. All right. So permits. When you are looking at a property, you go to the permits tab here. And right here, contact the building department of the tax district in which the property is located. That blue wording is a link. And this will come to all the permitting pages. And this top one is going to be for the parcel you are looking at. And yes, I will revisit the swipe feature in just a minute. So if you click that one, connect live. Now, some permitting departments are more robust than others. They're all not equal. The county has a pretty good one, though. When you click on that, it's going to take you to that parcel's permitting, and it's going to show you every permit for that parcel. All right. Daytona Beach are the land. Theirs isn't so robust. It's just a page where you can contact them. Okay. But yeah, every municipality is in charge of the permitting for their department or for their properties. So, you know, if you want to get the legit information, it's always best to go to the source of the permits. All right, and back to the map for the swipe features. You're welcome. View the map. So to turn the swipe on and turn it off, let's go to a parcel. So what you want to have turned on is at least 2 layers that you want to swipe between. So I'm going to turn on the current aerial. Get rid of this guy. And then I'm also going to turn on the 2009 aerial. And remember, it's a child of this one, so I want to have that one activated as well. Now I have 2 aerial layers turned on. And down here at the bottom of my map, if I hover over this green button, it says swipe, or teal button. And it'll bring up the swipe tool and allow you to swipe between those 2 layers that you have activated. You can see the water's really gone down for this property since the two layers I have turned on. So that is, come here, turn on the aerials you want to turn on, make sure they're checked, and then click the swipe button. All right. Any other questions?
Could you go over the how you did for finding, did it actually show the measurement of the property when you drew around the property lines?
Yeah. So what I will do, down here, you have this draw measure button. Let me turn off this layer, kind of distracts from it. So I'm going to draw measure. And if I want to get the area, I want to use, I always like calling it the Pac-Man, use this bottom button, but always make sure you type show area measurement. And depending on if you want to do acres or square footage, it's usually square feet. And then you just simply click the boundaries of where you're looking. And double click the finish, and you'll see the area shows up right there, 4154 2.5. And you can, of course, change that font size. So let's, let me clear that out. Let me bump up this font to 30. And I'll just do that again. Double click the finish, and the font size gets much bigger. Same thing with measurement. So let me clear that off. Measurement being length. You can click the line. And of course, we have to turn on the measurement. Sorry, I zoomed out. Let me zoom back in there, folks. And if you click, let me turn this off so I can move the map. Clear that one. And if you click, oh, I have one selected. You click and drag, the length is going to show up there. Same thing with labels. So if you're looking at a property and you want to put some labels on it, you can do a swimming pool. And you can just click where you want to put that label, or barn. click over there and you can have the aerial on. Sometimes they're kind of hard to see over these aerials. If you have a listing and you want to put some labels on it, or you change the font color, maybe that'll help bump things out a little bit. Oh, get out of here. Turn that on. Red, not the best choice, but you get where I'm going with that. You can put measurements on. You can draw arrows, things of that nature. You can do a lot of stuff from our map, a lot of measurements, a lot of features to put on there, things of that nature. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. Anything else from anyone else? All right. Well, I hope you all learned something, and I'll show you our phone number again, just in case you want to ask a question offline. Contact us. Website calls, and that'll get someone in the IT department here, and we'll all be happy to answer any questions you have about the website. If you're having difficulties finding something, give us a call. We're here to help. If you're having trouble with the map, Deeds or GIS division, they are the map masters. A guy named Alex. He'll be more than happy to help you, or we can help you too. But he's really the source of map knowledge. But I hope you all enjoyed our presentation. If you have any questions, like I said, we're here to help.
Thank you, James and Ron, for your time.
Sure. We enjoy doing these things.
Awesome.
All right. All right. Well, enjoy your regularly scheduled meeting. And like I said, give us a call, and thanks for having us.
Of course. All right. Take care, everyone.